Orleans Saints podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets. You'll hear from players, coaches, broadcasters, and writers that cover the NFL daily. The New Orleans Saints podcast starts right now. Here are your hosts, Erin Summers and Todd Graffagnini.
Welcome into the New Orleans Saints podcast presented by Rouse's Market, coming at you from Irvine, California. We are back in Cali, and if we didn't tell you, the music at practice would have told you, because they played the greatest hits. Any song you've ever heard with the words Cali in it was played to start practice, and the players came out with a lot of energy. Erin Summers here alongside Todd Graffagnini. Day one here, what stood out?
You said it. It was energy. Fast Freddie McAfee just kept things rolling all practice long with the music. We walked here, Erin, like we never left from a year ago. We know the lay of the land, and we certainly know most of the players here know what to expect when they come out here. But it was just a fun practice to watch. It was scheduled for an hour and 40 minutes. They actually went an hour and 20, so they cut it by 20 minutes, and just I thought it was the ideal practice. We talked about this a lot actually during these pods, doing post-practice pods, Erin. When you see good stuff on both sides of the ball, that to me is the ideal training camp practice, and we saw it again today. But it started with the energy. Both sides of the ball really brought it, and we just listened to Kellen Moore talk to the media, and I think he said it best. It was a reset. You spend the first couple weeks in camp in New Orleans, you're dealing with the heat, you're dealing with the humidity. Thankfully we really didn't deal with weather, so to speak, where they had to move a practice inside because of rain, so that was good. But then you come out here and the setting is completely different. So your mindset changes, and it's like, okay, we had a little bit of a grind. Let's reset, refocus, and come back out strong, and that's exactly what they did today. It was just really fun to watch.
It's not even refocusing that's happening as far as being in a different environment. The first 2 weeks was all about really nailing the install and figuring out what they're going to run. Now you come out here, you've crammed a ton of information in, you readjust the schedule. So you start your morning with the walkthrough, then you have meetings, then you have practice, and then at 6 o'clock when these practices are done, the players are done. And head coach Kellen Moore said that he really likes that, giving these players an opportunity while they're out here away from the daily grind at home to spend some time together on their own. And a lot of the veteran leaders have already started doing that. A lot of the players went out to dinner last night. They're going to be scheduling dinners here throughout camp. Coach Moore said that they'll put together a team dinner, but really wants the players to take that part of it on themselves, because he really values the team bonding aspect. But as far as things go on the field today, a lot of plays on both sides, as you mentioned, and the special teams, they were really going at it in that gunner drill, that's something that we're going to be looking forward to seeing on Sunday. When the pads come on, you're able to fully go live. You can hit, you can take people to the ground. What stands out in terms of the players' ability to finish? That's going to be key on Sunday. And then tomorrow, we got another scrimmage ahead of us. Yeah,
no, look, this is a game week. Even though they're going to scrimmage tomorrow, you're never going to have that during a game week. But they are playing real football on Sunday. When you're talking about tackling and hitting, not that they're not doing it here, but they're not really bringing anybody down. Mm-hmm. Now, we'll see to the extent of that tomorrow during the scrimmage. We saw in that 126-play scrimmage, at the end, they actually were bringing people down. So, no, look, as far as the gunner role, that's, again, something that you just kind of take for granted, but they got to get that stuff straight when you're getting into games. But, no, it was good to see. Again, the guys were going at it. Yeah. I mean, full speed, a lot of chirping on both sidelines. So, those are just some of the things that these coaches, they're letting the players go at 6 o'clock, but, they're going to go back in meetings because they have a lot to discuss what's going to happen over the next couple of days.
Yeah, a lot of film to watch. They're going to figure out how many plays they want people to run on Friday during that scrimmage, and it's going to be a combination of Friday and Sunday work, and they want it to be balanced among everybody on the team. So if you get a lot of run Friday, those players probably won't get a lot of run Sunday. That's something to keep an eye on as we talk about scrimmage tomorrow. Rotation-wise for the quarterbacks today, Tyler Shuck started with the ones. He and Spencer Rattler went back and forth. Hayner worked in a couple times, and then again for the second time at camp we saw them split the field. And they were running team drills on both sides. Spencer was running one side and that's the same person. Spencer was running one side and Shuck was running the other. And we saw plays across the board from the first team, second team, and third team offense out there.
Know what I was noticing today, Erin? Little zone read, little, fake to the running back, little rollout. If somebody was there, you throw it. If not, tuck it up and run. Tyler Shuck had a couple of really nice runs. So did Spencer Rattler. Shuck made one of his patented sidearm little flicks for a touchdown. Brandon Cooks caught a couple of nice passes near the goal line. One was a touchdown. The other, he was stopped at the one. But I like the aggressiveness of the quarterbacks. And you know that Kellen Moore has really tried to ingrain that in these guys' heads. If nothing's there, go. I mean, he had one of the best read option quarterbacks in the NFL with Jalen Hurts, last year. So kind of had an idea. Now, none of those two guys have the physique and the build of a Jalen Hurts, but they still have the same ability. I mean, Shuck's a big dude who's got really, really quick straight line speed. I mean, he gets out in the open, he can go. So I like how that's starting to really become a part of the offense, especially now during practice where you can see it, because they're going to want to implement it in the games.
It's not even the quarterbacks, but the running backs themselves. That's going to be another area that's really going to be important on Sunday. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire today, you said it, stopped on a dime and completely shifted to hit a hole and ended up with a touchdown.
Big time move. I still got to pick out a play of the day. I actually have a few to choose from, which is a good thing. Look, the running back battle is going to be really, really interesting in the next few weeks, because you figure they're going to keep 4 at the most. One's going to be Alvin Kamara. Then after that, it's up for grabs. I mean,
Cam Akers made some plays. Kendre Miller made a few, and in the passing game as well.
Caught a touchdown pass today. Velus Jones, converted wide receiver. He looks like a big, thick wide receiver, and he's a running back. And look, don't forget, 34, Marcus Yarns. He's had some plays too. So those guys are going to get a lot of opportunities in the next few weeks, because Kamara's not going to play in the preseason. He doesn't have to. You know what you got with him. So Clyde and Kendre and the other two, they're going to get a lot of chances in the next few weeks to see what they can do. That's
definitely something to look at on Sunday. We know Alvin Kamara is not playing. Coach Moore has said that. He has not said either way on any other player. So it's still a little up in the air as far as how much the quarterbacks will play, who will start. Obviously, we do have that scrimmage tomorrow to take into account as well. Kicking-wise, Blake Grupe, another perfect day by him. Just continues to impress. His longest was 49, so almost a 50-yarder today. And he was into the wind. I mean, we heard him talk earlier in camp about the crosswind here at Irvine. It's the same wind every day. It's 10 to 15 miles an hour. It's out of the south-southwest. This is the first time, actually, he kicked towards the west during training camp, because the goalposts in Metairie are on the east side. So he was actually kicking into the sun and into the wind, and it didn't matter, Erin. I mean, Mr. Consistency, he is going to be a weapon this year. He really is. If you get it past the 35-yard line, you can almost book the 3 points. He's been fun to watch. I mean, he just automatic, it seems like, no matter where. One kick? Yeah, no matter where he is. At one point during practice, Demario Davis did turn around and look right at us and say, you better write that down. They have not gotten into the paint all day. There is no paint in the end zones here, so a little slight technicality, but also offense did get in the end zone. Demario was just really excited because they did make several big plays. There was a really nice pass breakup by Kendre Miller. He wrapped Chris Olave around the back and punched the ball out, so that was a good play by him. And then Alontae Taylor, great coverage, corner of the end zone. Receiver, was it Olave again there? Olave. Yeah. Back left, on the PBU. So he was making plays. We chart these things, everybody. We watch every single rep. We do. We're not trying to
we report what we see and we watch every rep. But yeah, no, it was like I said.
Yeah, the corners, the secondary is making plays back there.
Both sides of the ball, though. Both sides of the ball. But yeah, look, that's going to be a tough battle too. I mean, those guys have been really showing out during training camp. It's just fun to be out here, Erin, and to see these guys flying around so close to a game in the next couple days.
Well, you can't help but be in Southern California and not think about the great Drew Brees, because he has now called this his home out here. But he was in New Orleans today and talking to the media before an event. He had his thoughts on the Saints quarterback position and the competition that's taking place right now. He has a good relationship with all three, and I'm sure he has a very good idea of what he's seeing out there and maybe what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's a pretty unique situation when you just look at the youth across the board. Obviously there was a lot of excitement, in drafting, Tyler Shuck. Look, I felt like Spencer Rattler did some great things last year. Jake Haener, his style, his stature, everything kind of reminds me a lot of myself, So, like all these guys, as I've sat there and watched them grow, mature. Obviously, haven't seen Tyler play, at the NFL level yet, but just looking at his journey through college and the amount of experience and maturity he has, it's an interesting situation. The fact that you don't have a veteran QB in that room at this point, and yet, you got a guy like Kellen Moore, and you've got a great staff of offensive coaches that have a lot of football experience and playing experience. And so, look, I think all these guys are in good hands, but nonetheless, nothing replaces just real life experience. So, we'll see how the competition shakes out. Seems like it's been a pretty eventful camp thus far.
I was saying, can you relate to when you were a rookie like them, knowing that those preseason games are really going to set things apart?
Yeah, super valuable. And, to be honest, I'm sure the Saints will take a much different approach than most teams do when it comes to starters. Mainly at the QB position, right? Some teams barely play their QB starters, just trying to keep them healthy for the regular season. But these guys, like every rep, is so valuable. Both practice, these scrimmages, obviously the scrimmage in the Chargers this week, like all those are so valuable. Just to feel like you're getting some game-like reps. Yeah.
Drew Brees also first-year Hall of Fame eligible this next year. We go ahead and say let's make a trip to Canton.
Thick limb, Erin. Here's another little mini limb. I predict that the Saints will be in the Hall of Fame game next year. That's just me. So I hope you like Canton, Ohio, because you're going to be going up there for a couple of reasons next year.
It means that camp will start a little bit earlier next year then, right?
A week earlier.
Well, here's Brees on that honor of his first year eligibility.
So I actually was up in Canton over the weekend to support Antonio Gates, former teammate of mine with the San Diego Chargers. Obviously going into the Hall of Fame.
Did it feel like home?
What's that?
Did it feel like home to you?
Well, it was a reunion. It was a Charger reunion is what it was. So, a lot of guys were back there. LaDainian Tomlinson, Philip Rivers, a bunch of guys. So we had a great time. Saw a lot of gold jackets walking around, the guys that had been inducted. A lot of guys in our generation, to be quite honest with you, guys that I played with or against through the years. And so, you certainly have such an appreciation for what it means to be a Hall of Famer and the contributions that so many of these guys have made to the game, and even to be considered in that class, this year, as now being eligible is a great honor.
Great first day here in Irvine, California. We'll be right back out here tomorrow, same time, 4 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock your time there in New Orleans. Everything will be on NewOrleansSaints.com. You can watch all of the interviews. There's going to be highlights, photos, and, of course, this podcast daily. Thank you to Todd Graffagnini. I'm Erin Summers. This is the Saints Podcast brought to you by Rouse's Markets.
Thanks for listening to the New Orleans Saints Podcast presented by Rouse's Markets. Join us 3 times per week on NewOrleansSaints.com, the Saints mobile app, or you can download the podcast on iTunes. We'll see you next time, right here on the New Orleans Saints Podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets.